I understand you've got a very interesting project that you've got going on, and I'd like you to tell me about it. But first, can I have your name?
My name's Sharon. I'd like to set up an Ulverston group to host a group of Belarusian children from the Chernobyl contaminated area, because it's not in the news anymore and it seems to have been forgotten about, but Belarus got 70% of the radiation from the Chernobyl explosion in 1986, and the ground is still really contaminated, and so the children and everyone living there is continually exposed to 40 times the safe limit of radiation. And this gives them a really high chance of getting cancers, particularly thyroid cancer, which the incidence is up 3,000%.
Right.
So much so that the scar that the operation leaves is known as the Belarusian necklace.
Wow.
And they also have a high chance of getting stomach or intestinal problems because the food they're eating all the time is contaminated by radiation. And one of the types of radiation mimics calcium, so it gets into their bones and they get a lot of bone cancers.
Right.
In addition, in the rural places in particular, the people are quite poor, so children are generally vitamin deficient, and a lot of families are struggling.
So what's your interest and what do you hope to do?
I'd like to set up a group in Ulverston which would host children for recuperative holidays for 4 weeks, because being out of their country and away from the radiation for 4 weeks boosts their immune system for 2 years, as well as the other benefits. The charity that I'm proposing to do this with sends them back with a 12-month supply of vitamins, and
Really?
just being away from their country, and it gives them a sense of optimism, because they're aware that people outside the country care about them.
And how do the children cope with the language?
Well, with each group of children, the minimum group size is 10. 2 interpreters come. So although the children some of them might know very little English, there would be interpreters to introduce them to the families, and I think a lot can be accomplished with a lot of miming and sign language. I did go to Russia a few years ago and worked on a camp in a rural area, and none of the children spoke much English at all, but it's quite easy to get by, and you can learn a few phrases of Russian.
And what?
The children have been coming for years, and it's never been a huge problem.
What ages are we talking about?
Well, the charity sends children aged between 7 and 12.
Right.
So the idea is that a group that was just starting off would take 7-year-olds, and the same children would come back year after year as far as was possible until they were 12. So that gives 5 years of care. So if people got involved, they could see the same children growing up year after year, and host families could, if circumstances didn't change, have the same child back year after year.
These 10 children, would they all know each other?
I think they might, but the charity goes out to Belarus and selects children from particularly disadvantaged backgrounds. So they might come from orphanages or foster families or lone parent families or particularly large families. But they do select the very needy children who could most do with this holiday.
And how many children come to each house, each family?
Well, you can just take 1 or possibly 2.
Right.
Yeah.
I imagine it would be easy with 2, wouldn't it?
Well, I think it would, and then they'd have
Yeah.
each other to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Particularly at bedtime when they might get lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Could entertain themselves. But it'd be very nice for children with similar age children, that they could form a friendship. But the charity tells me that it runs really well if grandparents who've got no other children living in the house, if they take children, they enjoy being the centre of attention, or they like being in families with younger children, so any situation really can work. And also there'll be a programme of activities every weekday, so all the host family need to do is drop the child off in the morning. The child will do activities all day, and then they'll pick the child up in late afternoon or evening, so working people can do it. You don't need to be off work for the month.